Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Yes, I was standing in the bar, and when that flashed over, and everyone stood still, and they knew the consequences. That's what was going to happen. People like me, I had a scholarship of college, and the Army come first. Went to Buffalo, then from Buffalo, we went to Boston and got ready for the invasion. That's where they taught us how to be a soldier. When we left Boston, they had 4 warships following us. The next morning we looked out and there was nobody. We were by ourselves. And that's when the Germans were sinking all the ships. Oh God, yes. Boy, just like that.
Did you get seasick at all?
Oh yeah. My job was to stop the guys from falling overboard, but I was sicker than they were. Lots of scary times when the German ships were out there, and then immediately our ships would, and it was a scary. To be honest with you, the chances of us making it again was small, because at that time Hitler had a good many subs.
Where did you land in England?
In England, Swansea, Wales.
Okay. And how long were you there? And
We were there just about, I would say, about 8 months, getting ready for the invasion. The 89th Division with General Patton. I never forget. My brother was in England, Carl, and he called me on the phone. He's Vinny, I've got 7 days. He says, can you get away? I said, Carl, they've frozen all furloughs because of the invasion. I said, well, let me. So I took pretty well. So I talked to I went over my captain's head and saw the lieutenant colonel. Well, after about 35 minutes, he gave me 7 days.
wow.
And I went to, and when Carl and I had a ball. Good time. We went out with girls. We went to, during that time, we didn't have much money, but you know, it's amazing how many girls had nobody to go with them. So they would buy our meal and we'd have
Yeah.
you know, I mean, you do what you have to do. When I made the Lieutenant Colonel mad about me being, nobody had a furlough just before the invasion, but I got one, say.
So you went over the top. Oh, that's to see with your brother Carl.
Yeah,
Ah.
and he said to me, when I come back, Sergeant Thibodeau said, the old man wants you. That's the guy. So I went in, saluted to him. He says, you think you're pretty goddamn smart, don't you? I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't lie to me, he said. He said, nobody had a furlough but you had to have one. I said, my brother, I said, lots of guys got brothers. Why should you have one and not them? Oh, he's just mad. Oh, my God, he was mad. He says, as long as I'm the old man of this outfit, you'll always be a private. I said, that's okay, sir, as long as I come back alive. You know, and every time I'd get a promotion, he'd knock it down. You more or less are in doubt on what tomorrow's going to bring. Mm-hmm. None of us really knew. We were just 19, 20 years old, so it was tough to not know what was going to happen tomorrow. And finally they got resolved that, you know, you get used to this guy dying and that guy getting that guy, and so after a while you just don't worry about it. A hell of a mess, because the Germans were pounding, and there was potholes everywhere for the shells, you know. And then when the LSTs were there, they stayed there and waited, and then they would load the men up that were injured and head back to England again.
Driver for 44 millimeter?
Yeah, right. And then we had a 50 caliber machine gun behind us. My truck got hit and I fell 49 feet down the railroad tracks. But you know, never broke a bone.
So explain that. You're where are you at this point? You're in France?
France, yeah.
So you're driving along with the truck. You're the driver.
Drive with plus the gun, plus the 40, all the men. My buddy was killed with me. I named him Tim after him. The Germans coming this way, and we were going that way. There was a bridge like this going around like this, coming to a curve. We were just turning this curve right here when all hell broke loose. Truck, just like and you know, it's a funny thing to say. I said, I'm not a brave man, but you know, I remember me going down like this, and I remember me saying, what a effing way to die. And I'm not brave, but I wasn't scared. Why wasn't I scared? But I wasn't. We had crossed the Rhine River, and I don't think the Germans knew we had crossed, because there was no shooting, just, and the buddy that I was with was German descent, so he was familiar with the German language. So we got up there on guard duty, and all of a sudden we heard laughing and talking and having a good time, you know. I looked at him and he put his finger up to his mouth. Said, be quiet, don't say nothing. And pretty soon they kept getting nearer and nearer. And they never stopped laughing. All of a sudden Bill says, halt, and sort of a German, and something hit the ground. And come to find out, was one of the rifles. And meantime, the other guy kept going like this. And I thought that was amazing. So I looked, there was a P-32, a small gun like that. We took him in and the old man says, why didn't you shoot him? Here you got two guys like this. You're gonna shoot him? I says, I can't do it, sir. That's fine. Both of you stay here all night long and guard them. And that's what we did. We had to stay there and guard these two guys all until daylight, until get some MPs. The MPs were there, yeah. We were ahead of them. And so we had to stay and guard them all day long. We were a place called Marseille, France. And we had just captured a place called Thinville in France. And I looked over across, and there's a little girl, and she was had her feet in water. And I walked, probably from here to where we came in here. And I can talk a little French, not much, but I asked her, got her out of the water, and I said, where's your home? Which I could tell. And so in the meantime, I went to the kitchen and took some food from the kitchen and took with me. And I put my hand out, and she put her hand like that, you know. So we walked to her father's house, and he was a barber. And the only food they had to eat that night was the food that I had brought over from the kitchen. And, you know, the Germans took all the food. So that's why the French people didn't have enough to eat, because the Germans took it for their troops. And that was a sad day when you see a little girl. She was probably 5 years old, and skinny as a rail, and I had taken enough food to last for a couple, 3 days, you know. I remember they captured a German SS trooper. He was by himself, and they questioned him, and they asked him, why did you do this for? And he come to attention, and he says, wouldn't you like to play God just once? And that was his answer. See, this is what the German people, they were going to rule the world.
What did you do with that guy?
They lynched him.
Did they?
You know, they actually, if the truth was known, they tore him apart. We were on the move, and you dig your trench hole. And we'd already dug the trench hole. And we had every night a German piper cub would come over and observe, and then 15 minutes or the bombers would come. So and I'm over my hole doing my business. And I heard the planes coming. And, well, yeah, I was dreaming of home and everything else. And I should have gotten up and ran. I didn't. I just, and pretty soon, the bombers came over. And then I did run. And then I did, everything else came with it. And, you know, my first sergeant said, "Where the hell you been?" I said, "Can't you smell me?" I laughed. And,
That's hilarious.
can't you smell the whole war? That was, can't you smell me? He said, "I can now." We liberated a concentration camp. And Ordorf. And General Patton and General Eisenhower and General Marshall, after we captured this, came up to look at what we had seen. And there were hundreds of bodies laying all over because they tried to shoot them before we captured them. And it was just littered with, and they even started a fire. And General Patton, it was so horrible he couldn't look at it. He turned his back on it. And when it gets, and that's, it was just, and we tried, it was, you couldn't give them any food because they hadn't eaten. I mean, so any food which you give them, it was not food. And it was, they threw it back out again, you know. And it was a horrible, so they made the people of that village come down and take a look at what they did. And they made them do the work of gathering up all the dead, and because they wanted them to, it was a horrible experience. I know I woke up many a night wondering where I was at. And because that's what happens. So much happens. You can't grasp it all, you know. We knew there was a gate, we knew it was a concentration camp. And we knew there was a gate across it. They knocked the gate down, of course. And never did we realize what was going to be before us once we walked into their camp. Absolutely. The world thinks today that that never happened. Bullshit. That happened, all right. Real proud of him. He said one day, we were getting ready for a big push. He said, "Man," he stood real straight.
This is General Patton.
General Patton stood real straight. He said, "Today, some of you men will die." I can't help that. But he said, "Those of you that die would not have died in vain. You died for a cause. Get out and get those bastards." And that's the way he ran the Third Army. When nobody else was doing it, he said, my boys will do it. I could hear him right now when standing right there. My boys will do it. And that's what kept us men really going, because he was, and he didn't spend his time behind the lines. He was right up there with us. Not every day, but quite often, you know. No, he was a great, great man.
I want you to remember that no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country. And then, all this stuff you've heard about America not wanting to fight, wanting to stay out of the war, is a lot of horse dung. Americans traditionally love to fight. All real Americans love the sting of battle.
This is the BBC Home Service. We're interrupting programs to make the following announcement. It is understood that in accordance with arrangements between the three great powers, an official announcement will be broadcast by the Prime Minister at 3 o'clock tomorrow. In view of this fact, tomorrow, Tuesday, will be treated as Victory in Europe Day.
So the word gets to the 89th Infantry Division that the war is over in Europe. You remember that?
Oh, sure. We waited 7 days for the Russians to come and take Berlin. But they had us, and they deal going with the Russians, the Americans did, that the Russians would be allowed to take Berlin. So we waited, and finally the war was declared over, and I think everybody was just stunned. There wasn't any hooray and whatever, you know. It was just a matter of, it's like you've been working all day, you were, yeah. Those of us that survived, God was with us, that's all. I got discharged right in Westville.
Okay.
They had a train, came right to Westville. And those of us, some of the boys were going further, whichever way. But we were all put into a big area, and they would call your name. And your name was called, you're on your way home. And Joe Cashoni, I heard his name, this kid from Westville. I heard his name, I said, I know him. You know. But that's the way they did it. And then as they, and pretty soon, this went on, and, well, we all got headed for home, you know. And it was a great sight to see everybody. There are no words to express, to see Mom and Papa. A glorious time to look out and see them, hard-working people. and you gotta. My mother, she had a meal enough for,
She figured he hadn't eaten since he'd left home.
This is something that doesn't go away. It's
You lived it.
always with you.
Well, that's why I'm so thrilled you shared all of this story.
I hope this is what you want.
Absolutely. We salute you. We salute you. Thank you so much.
It's
Terrific.
It's a real pleasure to sit and talk to you like this, because it's off my mind now. This is the first time I've really opened my guts out. Thank you very much. I told you before, I'm proud I did go. I'm proud I was part of the one that helped save our country. I'm proud to have gone there. I'm proud to be part of this. This will go down in history, and we were part of it. You can't go. You gotta have something in here besides just what a heart you have to have. You gotta be proud. You gotta be proud of our country.